Hello, my name is Matthew, and I read Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata, translated by Edward G. Seidensticker. And yesterday I was looking out the window and there was snowfall. It was too warm and the snow was too brief for anything to lay, but it felt this morning felt so wintry, and yesterday's snow was still in my mind. I was outside for a moment, and there was just a chill in the air, and I had the day off, and I just had the most wonderful time reading this this morning in the early afternoon. It's a short thing. It's a Japanese novel. It's set in the mountaintop of a Japanese village where there is a hot spring, and we have our main character, Shimamura, who leaves Tokyo to visit this hot spring. And the opening scene is the whole novel is beautiful and dreamlike and surreal. There's so much beauty mixed with sadness and loneliness. We have these strange characters interacting in um, hotels and inns, surrounded by this beautiful, melancholy landscape. And the novel it's a novel of reflections. We have so much imagery held up to a mirror, and it's beautifully encapsulated in the opening scene. I think the opening scene gives such a clear idea of the realism and magic that you can find in reflections. And we have Shimamura. On it, he has an interaction outside of the train, but in the train, he's sitting there, and the lights of the train are on, and it's this beautiful, desolate mountain landscape that the train is riding towards, and it's black outside except for the stars in the sky. And the window panes of the train have transformed into these black mirrors. And he's looking out the window and he sees this floating eye and this floating face of a beautiful girl. And it's not imaginary, it's not surreal or absurd or magical. It's the reflection of a passenger on the other side of the train. And so it's this a literal mirror, but also the mirroring of the world of magic and imagination and surrealism, captured in a very specific, precise, realistic situation. Seeing those ghostly images that might catch you off guard while you look through a pane of glass. And when we arrive at this hot spring in this village, we have our main character. He's in his room. Everything's so cold. It's an icy, frigid novel. The feeling of coldness runs throughout every aspect of the book, and there's these descriptions of strange, strange details that really make your spine tingle. Things like he feels a woman's hair, and he had never felt hair feel so cold. And the woman that he meets, Komiko, so it's Shimamura and Komiko, and she is a geisha. And their first interaction is so strange and gives the novel this from the offset or outset this lurid, kind of greasy, oily, unpleasant feeling. He's in his room. He's a guest in this hotel, and a geisha is brought in, and they're sitting there having strange conversation, and he asks her to bring in another geisha, and she is just so insulted and repulsed that the man is very reacting coolly and heartlessly, with this very rational response, saying, "Well, I like you. We could be friends, but I'd like to have another geisha." And it's the beginning of just a very strange relationship between these two. He's a guest, and he lives in Tokyo, and throughout the year, he makes these visits up to this hot spring in this mountainous, snowy, desolate, cold little village. And the novel has a series of these unexpected visits. Komiko, we witness just this sad life. She's a geisha and an entertainer. It's not explicit one way or another whether or not she is a sex worker, but and the sexual relationship between our two main characters is unclear to the extent of whatever sort of physical relationship that they're having. And in a lot of ways, it's very clear, but it has that reserved way of describing just a very tense relationship. The beauty of the language is just. I'll read an example. There was a description I remember where the author described. He said that the sky was the color of the night. Just a beautiful way of making it a very obvious statement that it's nighttime outside. Things like that is very strange and dreamlike. The sky was clouding over. Mountains, still in the sunlight, stood out against shadowed mountains. The play of light and shade changed from moment to moment, sketching a chilly landscape. Presently, the ski grounds, too, were in shadow. Below the window, Shimamura could see little needles of frost like isinglass among the withered chrysanthemums. The water was still dripping from the snow on the roof. Beautiful. The novel is full of these beautiful descriptions of nature, the sky, and the snow, and it's mirrored with these beautiful but also tainted descriptions of man-made objects, buildings or social constructs or human relationships, where there's a purity counterbalanced by an impurity. It's descriptions of fabric, these kimonos, the fabric for these kimonos made in the snowy mountains, and it's described as this fabric that can only be made in this frigid air, and it's bleached by putting the fabric on top of snow and having the sun bleach through the fabric as it lays on the snow, and how this fabric retains that coolness. And so when these kimonos are made and people wear them in the hot summers of Tokyo, they always remain cold because they were bleached by the snow. The relationship with between our two main characters does have some drama, mystery, intrigue. There's other characters, a young girl named Yoko. We get a backstory about Komako's life choices and how she became a geisha. And it's just this kind of charming, beautiful, sad story, just full of isolation and seclusion, set among this beautiful backdrop. Even at the ending, there's a fire, and it's contrasted. There's a fire at night, and so we see these a blaze of fire, a flame, and it's contrasted by the glowing, somnolent Milky Way glowing above it. And the novel just constantly has these comparison and contrasts that work and play off of each other extremely with extreme effect. And it's just a beautiful, lurid, sad story. So, Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata, a beautiful Japanese novel. So, let me know if you've read it, if you've read it, and if you've read anything else by this author. It was a perfect thing for me to read inside while I'm snuggled up with my slippers and my wool cardigan as I look outside and see that cold air. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you, and take care.